My sisters and brothers, I greet you all with the love and peace of the Lord. I invite you to meditate together with me on the holy word of God of 13th December 2020, the third Sunday of Holy Advent. The focus of our reflection. It is quite natural that everyone seeks happiness, but true joy can be found only in God and good. Enjoyments and pleasures are not real joy because they can never quench the deeper thirst for satisfaction and fulfillment. This third Sunday of Advent is known as the Sunday of Joy, and the readings radiate this joy. The first reading from the prophet Isaiah announces, I rejoice heartily in the Lord, in my God is the joy of my soul. The responsorial psalm is the Magnificat of Mary, which is an exuberant hymn of joy. The second reading from the First Thessalonians continues the same tone and mood of joy with the call to rejoice always. And the gospel too is permeated with the same spirit of joy, though not explicit. Now, why should there be joy? Why should we rejoice? What is there to rejoice? True it is that the reality at present seems to be bleak and dark. There seem to be more reasons to grieve and lament rather than to be glad and praise. But nothing of these should snatch away our spirit of joy, which is deep-seated in God and in our faith. Our joy is in God. Our joy comes from our unfailing faith and unswerving hope in the Lord's promises and assurance. Thus, the Word of God clearly outlines the reasons for joy along with the call to be joyful. Isaiah says, I rejoice because he has clothed me with a robe of salvation and wrapped me with a mantle of justice. Because the Lord has adorned me like a bridegroom adorned with a diadem, and like a bride is bedecked with jewels. He rejoices further because there is healing to the broken-hearted, liberty to the captives, release to the prisoners, a year of favor and a day of vindication from the Lord. And Mary sings in the Magnificat, my soul rejoices and my spirit exults, for he has looked upon his lowly servant, for he has blessed me abundantly and unceasingly, for he has done great things for me. Therefore, rejoice because the Lord comes to us. The Lord intervenes into our life. The Lord changes our life. Should we not rejoice? God's abiding presence, God's caring providence, God's tender closeness, God's uplifting justice, God's hearty compassion, God's indulgent mercy, God's mighty liberation, and God's abundant generosity, God's unfailing fidelity. My sister, my brother, are these not enough reasons to rejoice? Therefore, why to feel distant, abandoned, and alienated when God is near? Why feel uncared and anxious when He is provident? Why feel unwanted and unloved when He is so close? Why feel a victim of injustice and deceit when the just God is with us? Why feel disheartened when God is so compassionate? Why feel depressed and let down under the weight of sin when He is so merciful? Why feel bound and imprisoned when God is liberating? And why feel lacking and deprived when God is immensely generous? All that is needed to experience this joy, even amidst the multiple shades of darkness and sadness, is to trust Him with deep faith and unfailing prayer. Trust in His promises. Trust in His love and salvation. Entrust ourselves to Him in deep humility and surrender, and carry on His mission with unflinching zeal, with the unquenchable spirit, and in a spirit of testimony. Prayer, humility, surrender, and testimony. These alone are the ways to experience and promote that deep and lasting joy. Let us then be the containers and carriers of joy. Let joy be contagious so that this positive and healthy contagion would displace and dispel the destructive virus of sadness and badness.